Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here I will present an analysis of major formalist approach terms in a short story Everyday Use by Alice Walker. The object of this study was to describe the formalist approach terms and the psychological aspects contained in the short story. In describing them, the writer used descriptive qualitative method. In collecting the data, the writer as well as read the short story. After that, the writer interpreted them by using note-taking technique. The study used two sources, the primary and the secondary source. The results showed that this short story has all major formalist approach terms, and from the psychological aspects, the character's behavior symbolized three main components, such as I, ego, and superego. Literary word is a Sanskrit absorption word that means anything written that has significance and also has a certain beauty. According to Nurhamida et al. 2019, the literature is a creative work that depicts human existence in society in a way that may be enjoyed, understood, and utilized by society. Major formalist approach terms are important to know. It can give its own color and taste to a literary work, which can later become a deep meaning. Everyday Use is a short story written by Alice Walker. Many events occur in the short story in a sequential order, and the story is well organized in terms of time chronological order. It allows readers to fully comprehend and follow the story while allowing them to be carried away by their imagination. Based on the explanation above, the writer interested to analyze Alice Walker's short story Everyday Use. In this study, the short story Everyday Use as a work of English contemporary literature will be examined using formalism as part of a text-oriented approach. On this study, the writer used descriptive qualitative method. The object of this study was to know the major formalist approach terms and the psychological aspect of Alice Walker everyday use. The writer was the primary instrument in this study, and the Alice Walker short story is the secondary instrument. The study gathered data through reading a short narrative in order to comprehend the story's information on the primary formalist approach parts. There are seven major formalist approach terms in this short story. The first one is characters. In this short story, there are three main characters: Mama or Mrs. Johnson, Dee, and Maggie. And an additional character, he is Hakim. The second one is figure of speech. This short story uses some figure of speech such as metaphor, zoomorphic, simile, synecdoche, and hyperbole. And the third is imagery. In this short story, imagery can be found in the description of the house, the inhabitants, and their experience. The fourth is plot. In this story begins with Mama and Maggie are getting ready for the visit. They waiting for D, and Mama reflects on how this attitude toward them changed as she became more educated. The fifth is point of view. The short story uses a first person point of view. And the sixth is setting. This story take place in a rural area in Georgia, and it was set in this and Maggie's childhood house. The last is theme. The concept of this short story is about a person's relationship with their ancestors. There are three components of mind in this short story. They are I, ego, and superego. The I is symbolized by character D, and the ego is symbolized by character Maggie. The last is superego. It is symbolized by character Mama or Mrs. Johnson. In the conclusion, this short story contains all major formalist approach terms such as characters, figure of speech, imagery, plot point of view, setting, and theme. The short story also contains three types of psychological aspects, namely I, ego, and superego. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all my presentation. Thank you for your attention and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.